Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Mindful Movement. It's been a year. This episode is going to be about why I stopped and why I'm back. About a year ago, actually a little bit more, I got a cold or upper respiratory infection, and I literally could not talk without coughing. So I stopped for a bit. And during that time, there was a lot of transition in my life. I was ending certain chapters of my life. I was exploring and opening up to other things and really trying to get to know myself in a new context. And in that process, I met a lot of new people. One person I kept bumping into, and after a while, I decided there's got to be a reason for this. Let's talk. So we ended up talking and we became friends for a very short period of time. We connected. And when you become fast friends like that, at first, you don't notice the differences. And we eventually came across some differences that just, I don't think worked well together. And that's fine. You live, you learn, you explore. Some restaurant you may like, some you don't like. And you try and you find out. And sometimes you go there every once in a while. In this case, the differences generated a question directed towards me. Are you actually living what you're talking about? You're talking about mindfulness, holisticness, and all this stuff. And I looked at myself and I'm like, no, I'm trying to live, I'm trying to be about these things. But I knew that I struggled with some of these things. I'm not always the most mindful. I'm not always the most patient. I'm not always the most considerate. I'm not always the most any of these things that we may talk about on this channel. And that shook my confidence because when I saw the imperfection that was me, it made me question, should I continue on this journey? It made me second guess a lot. In this last year, I recorded 6 or 7 episodes, and I didn't post them because of that voice in the back of my head saying, you're not good enough, or are you really living up to all the things you're talking about here? It wasn't that I was stuck because I had nothing to say. It was more that I didn't believe deep down that maybe I deserved to say these things or represent these things. It took me a while to learn this lesson. It took me about a year and a half to learn this lesson. Trust me, I've learned a lot more lessons along the way. We're going to talk about that path of how I came to now and how I'm recording this and hopefully posting it. Because it's not the first time that I've recorded a video about me coming back. That's even something to look into. But anyways, one of the things that I started to notice as a teacher, not like a teacher in a school, it's a different context, but when you're a teacher of something where people can come and go at their will, it's hard, at least for me, it was hard to get excited and then see them disappear. That's always a hard thing to do. You see a lot of potential in somebody and then, bam, they just go. And they may think they're not good enough. You're way better than I was in 3 weeks. It took me 6 years to do what you did in 3 weeks. I've heard a number of reasons I've moved, valid. You live in a different state now. I get it. Some of it is personal stuff. A lot of it is not wanting to show up to the pressure, not wanting to show up. That's what it comes down to for whatever reason. And then I realized that here, this is something I'm not doing necessarily for you guys. I am doing it for me because there's a lot of process in getting these ideas together that make me acknowledge a lot of things floating around in my head or I'm sensing that I'm feeling, and it allows me to put words to it. And when it puts words to it, it allows me to hear it and see it. And when I realized that, hey, this is something that I'm experiencing that I actually can apply to other situations in my life, it unlocked a lot of things. Because what would I tell myself if I was a student who didn't feel good enough to show up? It made it so much more simpler once I saw it that way, because I was like, yo, I already know. I know what I would tell myself. And I would tell myself because I believe these things are true, because I genuinely believe these things are true. And the thing I would say is, hey, don't wait until you're ready. You become ready by showing up. It's not so much important that you think you're good at something. If you're doing it for yourself, if you're doing it to grow, of course, you're not going to be good at something when you start. But if you keep at it, you will eventually be good. And it took me a long time. For me in Capoeira to be what I thought was good, took me a very long time. I had to fake it till I made it. And then eventually, yeah, I think I'm pretty good now. But that was a very long journey. And I kept showing up, even when it was just me. Because I wasn't doing it to look cool. I wasn't doing it to impress somebody. I was doing this for me. Specifically, I was doing this for that inner child who always wanted to learn capoeira because it was literally the coolest thing that he had ever seen. Somewhere in my life, I decided I'm going to do this because I can, and I'm going to do it for him. And that past me, who continues showing up, I have to give him props because he got me here. And somewhere down the line, I learned a number of life lessons that I feel compelled to transmit. Once I connected the two, I was like, I am that person who isn't showing up because they feel like they're not good enough, or whatever limiting belief that you have that prevents you from showing up. If that was your friend, or if that was somebody who you genuinely cared about, or a student that you really saw potential in, what would you tell them? And say that to yourself. I teach this all the time because I genuinely believe it's true, but sometimes the magic happens when you connect one thing to another and you find the secret within, and it becomes magically easier to understand. It's funny when I look back, and I think some of the reasons why I didn't see certain things or I couldn't connect, we all have those reasons of why we can't connect simple concepts. For me, I think this was simple. Others, this might be pretty profound. It might be challenging. It might be hard. And again, I teach these things. I manage a team, and these are things that I say on a day-to-day because I believe these things. Sometimes it's hard to apply them to certain aspects in your own life because you miss the connection. You don't have to be perfect to show up. I have a student, people will joke that it takes him a little longer to get certain things. But I'll tell you, once he gets it, he would be the person I would say, teach them, get them started, because he's going to take care. He's going to observe. He's going to really put 100% in working with the person so that they understand. And that goes a long way. People learn and people have their own timing and their own journey, and they need different things. And it takes a lot to continue to show up. I might not be getting it as fast as the other person. There's another friend and a different thing that I'm learning, I'm practicing. I started a new class in part because I wanted to embrace the culture of Salvador Bahia. I had an opportunity, but I found that it was an opportunity for me to be a student again and really reconnect with that student experience. Because it's been a long time since I've started something new and really got to see the lens of, hey, what keeps me going? What keeps me coming back? And I have to be careful because I'm partly that person. I start something and I'm going to keep going, which is why I'm back doing this, because I started it for a reason. And it's that grit, that persistence. There's three main points that I think are important that I realized personally and applied it to myself, which was you can be a work in progress and still show up. This is forcing me to venture out and put myself out in a way that I usually don't. And somebody shook my confidence. It was a tough situation. It really shook my confidence, but I think it was needed because I feel like I'm more confident in these things than I ever have been before. Talking about something doesn't mean that you've mastered it. As a matter of fact, I share the things I just started because I'm happy that I just started it, but am I good at it? No. I have students who are so proud of the things that they have started and they share it with their friends. And are they good at it? No. They know 2 moves, but that's the beginning of their journey. You don't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be a perfect situation. And for me, I'm a bit of a perfectionist, which is a horrible curse. Yes, it makes you good at a lot of things, the results. You have really great results on a lot of things, but there's a lot of things that get filtered out. Hey, I'm back videos that I just didn't post because I'm in my head. And then the last thing is sometimes talking about something, for me, it just continuing to work on these things and trying, which I have tried to come back to this a number of times. It forces you to look at it in different perspectives, in different ways, and shift the frame a little bit until you can see another direction of it. And then you finally learn it. So it's been a journey. And again, I have a number of episodes that I might go back and reclaim because I think some of those insights that I have uncovered, and they're nothing fundamentally new, they're just things that were new for me. Maybe I'll go back and reclaim those and represent those. This is me coming back. I'm going to post this one. So if anything, doubt, stopped, reflected, realized, and returned. That was the journey.